Morning and Friday.
Welcome back. Another conversation with Kirk Ford. This is the third in our series. Make sure you watch the other ones. This is stemming from a bigger conversation that Kirk and I had about a month ago, about then, where we really go thoroughly into Kirk's journey from becoming very sick with UC, very severe case, to where he is today, which is symptom-free, med-free, diet-free, UC-free, happy.
Healthy and strong.
Happy, healthy, and strong is Kirk's motto. And due to the popularity of our first conversation, Kirk said, look, let's chat about his three pillars of health. And we're covering in these conversations intermittent fasting, cold water therapy. And this conversation is going to be about EFT, emotional freedom technique, or also known as tapping. These are all the things that Kirk is using as foundations for his continued amazing state of health. And in that time, he's transformed as a human being, and it's a very exciting place to be watching Kirk and what comes next for him. So, Kirk, really good to have you here. And
Thank
as
you.
we've done with the other two conversations, could you please explain to the guys in a nutshell what happened to you? What was your UC story?
Yeah, so really high level summary, Rachel. I was diagnosed in 2019, back and forth to the doctors. They were giving me a different sort of diagnosis. On my fifth return to the doctors, they asked me if anybody in the family had stomach issues. My granddad sadly died of bowel cancer in his early 50s. They admitted me straight away to A&E. Next thing you know, endoscopy, all the tests, kept me in for a few nights. They said it's colitis, use loads of medication, get on your way. So after about 2 years of like in and out of flare ups, 2021 really hit it head on with a massive flare. I was in hospital and I was hospitalized for 8 to 9 weeks. And one of the doctors described it as one of the most severe cases he'd come across. My CRP was through the roof. I lost 3 stone in weight. The symptoms were absolutely horrific. I wouldn't wish it on anybody. And I was getting wheeled down for an emergency operation to give me a colonoscopy bag. They told me that my bowel was going to perforate. Having been wheeled down, on the way down, my partner rang me on the mobile saying, you can't go through with this operation. You know, you're not in the right state of mind to make this decision. I turned around, all the doctors couldn't believe it. They put me on morphine because I was on all fours crying. The pain was unbearable. It wouldn't wish it on anybody. And then the following day, or the following day after that, they kept coming in saying, look, I know you're saying no, think you should go for this operation. I said no. They put me on a biologics drug, which they told me I'd be on for the rest of my life, which reduces inflammation. They monitored me for 8 weeks. I left hospital a shadow of my former self. I was 3 stone lighter. Mentally, I was weak. Physically, I was weak. And that's when I came across you, Rachel. And that's when the fight really started. I came across EFT tapping. I felt there was hope. You know, I was starting to get a bit more energy from the EFT. And here I am today. I'm best health of my life, physically and mentally, just loving life.
Yeah, and your story is such an inspiration. And when we first met, you were in the hospital, weren't you? And it
Yeah.
was at that time where you couldn't have visitors. I mean, it's just like it's just mind blowing. And you were in there for weeks on your own, in a room on your own without visitors. I mean, to talk about isolation, and you're suffering with all of those symptoms, and the medical team continually telling you they're going
Yeah.
to operate. Um, so this conversation is about EFT tapping, and you guys that have watched me before, you know I'm passionate about this. It's one of the foundations of my work with people all over the world with IBD, and the results I see in my clients blow my mind every week. So, Kirk, what would you? I can explain the kind of bit of the science about it in a bit, but from when you started using it with me, how would you kind of summarize it to people? What benefits, how
So
has it helped you? What benefits have you seen?
let's be frank about this now, Rachel. The first session you did with me, I was teary. I'm a grown man, and I'm ashamed to admit this. I've done boxing, you know, so it's a tough sport, and it brought me to my knees. I had that bad anxiety. I couldn't even speak to anyone, never alone yourself, who was a stranger to me at the time. I was so overwhelmed by it all. But EFT absolutely got rid of my anxiety. and got rid of my symptoms. It was the best thing I'd ever done. For me, they say things are a game changer. This was an absolute game changer for me. It did everything. And I always tell this to everyone, Rachel, what I went through to heal myself, it wasn't easy either, because I had to put these processes in place and I had to stick to them day in, day out, and they had to become robust as part of my daily rituals every day. And when you're weak, when you've lost 3 stone, when you've got bad anxiety, when you're depressed over it, or you've got these symptoms, it's the last thing you want to do. But you can't see that far ahead. And then as the weeks went by working with you, wow, Kirk started coming back.
Because we came about it in a different way, didn't we? We did 3 30-minute sessions in a week because you were still in hospital. And then even when you came home, you had to adjust to being back home and what you were going to do next. Still, we had these kind of short sessions because you're very good at being disciplined, and you knew that was the way that you needed that kind of short amounts of accountability so you could get the progress. And EFT, what I love about it is it's simple and you can use it yourself. And again, as we've said about these other 2 conversations, this is free for you to use. If you're working with me, that's different. That's a choice. But that's not stopping you using it yourself. That's why I have so many YouTube videos around it. And that's why even people using just those videos are messaging me saying that they are feeling entirely different.
Yeah.
What you're doing is, if you've never seen it, I'll show you. So it looks like this, doesn't it? Now, I'll also say while I'm doing this, and you think that looks crazy, Kirk is so passionate now about EFT. He's trained as a practitioner himself. So it's not even like he's just using it every now and then. He's actually gone through the process of being a recognized practitioner. And so he'll be incorporating this into the work he's doing in the future.
And that's the thing, when I first watched this online, I thought, oh my God, they look more mad than myself. These practitioners doing this. But do you know what? I couldn't care what anyone thinks, says, it healed me, and it got me from the depths of despair to physical and mental shape. So, if I've done it and I've been through that process, anybody else can do it.
Yeah, completely. And it's available to any age. It doesn't matter what age you are. In fact, little kids respond to it way quicker than adults because they're not carrying so much trauma or judgment about what it is we're doing. So I'll briefly explain what is happening as we do this. As we start tapping on these points, we're sending particular type of electrical signals to the midbrain. And in the midbrain, there are these two little things like two little almonds called the amygdala, and they are like the foundations of your stress response. They fire up. Yeah, they fire up, don't they? And that's what makes that fight and flight response. In this world, we are probably running our stress response most of the day because we're busy, we're thinking, we're doing, we're planning, we're worrying, we're anxious, we're watching the news. I don't do that anymore. But all of this is bombarding our nervous system. You start tapping, you turn off the stress response. And that's before you even start talking. Then you start applying some really powerful phrasing. And that's when you start accessing your subconscious mind and your memories. And then you start reprogramming your subconscious mind. And why do we want to do that? Because it's largely out of date, repetitive, and self-sabotaging and negative. And most of it has been programmed into us from before the age of 7, which is
for me. I think if you ask me to summarize it, it can coax you back into a state of calm. I think that's the best how I can explain it from my point of view. And if you fast forward 12 months, Rachel, I've worked with you for 2 years. If you remember, I had to do a public speech in front of 200 people.
Yeah.
And I rang you the day before and you were messaging me on the day. I remember going out the back, doing my tapping. My colleague caught me. He said, oh, I'm nervous. I said, I feel quite good. I said, I feel quite relaxed. And he said, how come? I said, well, I do this EFT tapping. And he looked at me as if I was bonkers. But I went out on that stage. I remember looking before, heart rate was 55. I was calm, I was relaxed, and I was me. And it brought me down. It kept me regulated for the public speech.
Yeah. And actually, there's a lot of very, very famous world leading presenters that use EFT tapping. Tony Robbins, Dr. Mark Hyman, there's a lot of people that are using this to help bring their nervous system into a state of calm. So EFT can be used for, it's recognized to be used for stress, anxiety, PTSD, all forms of trauma, big and small, childhood trauma and abuse, physical and mental health conditions, fears and phobias and addictions, cravings. If you want to lose weight, if you want to gain weight, if you want to get that career move, if you want to attract more money into your life, if you want to get that good relationship. And the reason for this is everything we do, all these little decisions we make in the day are attached to an emotion.
Yeah.
And when you start to have more emotional intelligence and resiliency, then you can come at things afresh, make better decisions, feel calmer,
Absolutely.
even under pressure, and you're reprogramming the subconscious mind. It's a super, super powerful self-help technique used by millions across the world.
Shall I go on? I'm cutting across.
No, go. It's because we're so enthusiastic. You go.
Shall I tell them about the regime I put in place? So when I come out of hospital, so I was seeing you say every other day, but if you remember, I put reminders on my phone.
Yeah.
And they were hourly. So I went at this in a massive way. So every hour on the hour, I did 5 minutes of tapping. You did a recording for me, or I do a record. We do a joint recording. And I just kept repetitively doing these. Before you know it, it rewires your brain, because your brain and your gut, they're linked in a cyberkinetic way. So if you give off a response, a negative response, it hits the gut. Yeah. And I know that firsthand. And then if you put that negative response, it's going to trigger potential symptoms, etc. If it repetitively goes on. But if you flip it on the head and you put those positive tap-in emotions in, it's going to give you a positive response to the gut. And it absolutely works. It worked for me. It worked for you. It's proven.
Yeah, it is. There's a gazillion studies that support it. And you're right. So briefly explaining what happens, you have a thought, it creates a feeling.
Yeah.
And that feeling, then your brain then creates the chemistry of that feeling, and that washes down into your blood supply. This is what your cells look to get cues for their environment. They can't see the world around us. So if you are sending signals and chemistry of fear or anxiety into your bloodstream, your cells, now think about the inflamed cells in your large intestines. If you guys are watching and you have IBD at the moment, your inflamed cells are looking to the blood supply for indicators of how to behave. And when they're being washed with fear and anxiety, depression, anger, they're being told to not regenerate, not replenish. They are in a static state of fear and anxiety and survival. So when you start changing your thought processes to more beneficial feelings, contentment, satisfaction, gratitude, love, appreciation, joy, whatever you can get to, then the chemistry is shifting. And this is all happening in a millisecond. And that is what is being fed into your body. And that is when your cells say, right, guys, we are now able to regenerate, replenish, lower inflammation, love ourselves, do all the good stuff. So that on another level is why it's working. You are changing the chemical reactions that are running into your body from your mind. So exactly what Kirk's saying, the connection between your gut and your brain is massive. It also is to your heart, but we are not utilizing this in the best way possible. So there we go with EFT. I am keeping an eye on the clock because this is a short conversation. You guys can just go fill your boots with all my videos. I intend to keep releasing one a week. If you want to talk about what we've done together and how it can benefit you, get in touch. Kirk has even incorporating this into his own life now as a practitioner. Due to his journey of recovery, it's been the making of him, if that's okay for me to say. And he is now embarking on supporting others and making a difference in the world. Even though his career is huge, he is now making time to help others with IBD and with their fitness to feel amazing and to recover. So I will put all of Kirk's information in the blurb for this video. Please follow Kirk. Feel free to reach out to either of us with questions, feedback, concerns, worries that you might have right now. Kirk, anything else from you?
Yeah, I've said this on the other short podcast we've done, Rachel. You've been superb. If I had not put that Google search in to find you, I'd not be in this position today. I just want to briefly thank a few people that I haven't mentioned previously. So, people I've met on this journey, like my mate Dutchy, who's part of the Chicken Dippers. He's been absolutely superb. He suffers with colitis as well. So, he's completely on this journey. My mate Ross, Wayne, Richard, Justin, all these people have made a massive impact on me in my recovery. Kirsty's cousin, Jenny, Kirsty's been amazing. Megan, the list goes on. It's endless. And I thank everybody, each and every one of you are great individuals.
And you've created that community yourself because because of your vibe and your energy and your positivity. So, and community is key to any situation in life. So thank you very much, guys, for joining us. If you want to know who the Chicken Dippers are, you're going to have to check out our other conversation on cold water therapy to find out.
Yeah.
In touch, share this with anyone you know that is having their own gut issues. Life does not need to be painful and difficult. Health is always within you. Your wellness is waiting for you. Thank you very much, Kirk. I've really
last
enjoyed
one,
it.
Rachel. Last one, Rachel. I have to mention the co-founder of the Chicken Dippers, Matthew Dwyer. Ex-Ospreys professional rugby player. He was with the co-founder side by side from day one. I have to get him in.
He'll appreciate that, and then he can go and share this with all of his friends.
I've got to do one more.
Oh, no.
Matthew Hookins, the guy that I PT, he's an actor. He's just been in a film with Russell Crowe, Ray Winston. He's on the fasting journey. He's on the cold water therapy journey. He's absolutely loving it. He's aware of EFT. He's been giving that a go in the background as well. So yeah, thank you everyone. I appreciate everyone.
So that's like another side of Kirk, because he's a PT and an expert at boxing training. He also has connections to Hollywood, but that's for a chat for another time. So keep an eye on Kirk, keep an eye on me. Thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you again soon.
Cheers, Rachel.